Have you ever been excited about something that was going to happen in your life only to have fear creep in and ruin it? How about this? You start a new job, or maybe you meet someone who you were really attracted to, and you were all smiles until suddenly out of nowhere, fear takes over. The next thing you know, your inner monologue sounds like this. What if they don't like me? What if I mess up at my new job? What if I lose everything? Before you know it, you start feeling overwhelmed and anxious, and soon you're spiraling into depression. The truth is, we often sabotage ourselves before achieving success because of one, fear. And today's video will discuss why we are so afraid of change and how to stop fearing it. No. 1. It threatens our existence. According to statistics, only a small percentage of you who watch our videos are actually subscribed. Many of you are just stopping by for the first time. Hey, welcome! Here's your reminder to stay updated with us. Now back to the video. Did you know that according to statistics, only a small percentage of you who watch our videos are actually subscribed? Many of you are just stopping by for the first time. Hey, welcome! Here's your reminder to subscribe and stay updated with us. Now back to the video. When we experience change, we usually leave our comfort zone. Change disrupts our daily routine, and our brain doesn't like that because its main job is to keep us alive. Since our ancestors had to fight or flight from dangerous animals to survive, our brain has learned to always be on the lookout for threats. If there's a chance that we could lose something important, it immediately sends out an alarm and tries to convince us that the best option is to run away or stay still and hope for the best. This means that if a big change is coming your way, your brain will try to make you feel anxious so that you can avoid it. In other words, your brain does this to protect you from any possible danger. No. 2. We have low self-confidence. Do you think you can handle any type of situation? Are you confident in your abilities? Well, if not, then you're not alone. About 85% of people say they suffer from shyness, self-doubt, or low self-esteem at least once in their lives. But why is that? Why do so many people doubt themselves? Self-confidence depends on many factors such as past experiences and the feedback we've received from other people. For example, if you were praised for your work as a child, you may develop a positive self-image and believe in yourself. On the contrary, if you were constantly criticized for being incompetent, you would most likely start believing that you're not capable. But here's the kicker. Even if you were praised, it won't help you much if you compare yourself to others. This is called self-reference, and it's when you evaluate yourself based on how you think others see you. Let's say you got a good grade on a test, but then you find out that your friend got a better grade even though you both studied hard for it. In this case, you might think that you failed because you're not as smart as your friend. That's why people who have a tendency to compare themselves to others often have low self-confidence. Number 3. We focus on the negative. Let's imagine you have a piece of paper with only two colors, black and white. Now ask yourself, what do you see? Black or white? Now let's switch things up. Imagine that you have a piece of paper with 99 dots, 98 black and 1 white. What do you see? Chances are you'll notice the black dots much more than the white ones, right? That's exactly how our brains work. They tend to focus on the negative far more than the positive. Researchers peg this as the negativity bias. And it means that we pay more attention to bad events than good ones. When we encounter negative things, our brain triggers a survival response to help us remember them so we can avoid making the same mistake twice. However, this also makes us prone to overgeneralizing. For example, let's say you fail a test. Instead of thinking that this happened because you didn't study enough, you might think that you're stupid and will never succeed in school. 4. We lack a purpose. Have you ever felt lost and without direction in life? Well, this feeling can quickly turn into fear when we realize that nothing is keeping us from changing. According to Viktor Frankl, a Jewish doctor who survived Auschwitz, everyone can overcome any hardship as long as they have a purpose. He said, when we are no longer able to change a situation, we are challenged to change ourselves. In other words, When we have a goal, we have a reason to push through tough times. But if we don't have a goal, we might start to feel hopeless and afraid of the future. So what do we do in this situation? Well, the answer is simple, but not necessarily easy. Find a purpose that motivates you to live each day. No. 5. We're too comfortable. You're on a path in life that seems to lead nowhere. You wake up every morning dreading the thought of going to work, but then you remember that if you quit, you won't have any money to support yourself. You start to feel like you have no control over your life, and that scares you. The idea of starting over in an unfamiliar place with unfamiliar people is terrifying. So you decide to stick it out where you are, even if it means settling for less. Psychologist Dorothy Murray describes this phenomenon as adaptive preference. And it happens when we choose what's familiar over what's best for us. But why is this? Why are we so afraid of letting go of what we have and trying something new? Well, it's simple. Our brain loves to take the easy route. Even if we think that the grass is greener on the other side, we don't want to put in the effort to get there. That's why change is scary to us. It requires leaving our comfort zone, which means we won't be able to rely on our past experiences, and there is a chance we'll make mistakes along the way. And number 6, it's easier to adapt to a new environment when you're young. How many of you would love to start fresh somewhere else? Maybe you'd like to move to another country, but it's difficult to do when you have a family and a career. In psychology, there's something known as the principle of least commitment. It basically says that people tend to take risks when they have few obligations. For example, studies show that recent college graduates are more likely to switch careers than those who have worked in the same field for over 20 years. But why is this? Well, it's because when you're young, you have fewer responsibilities. So if you fail at something, you can easily bounce back and try again. On the other hand, if you're older and have bills to pay, you can't afford to make as many mistakes. So naturally, you're more afraid of failure. But here's the secret. As we get older, we become less afraid of failure, but more afraid of success. Why? Because success means we need to maintain our achievements. We have to keep up the good work to make sure we don't lose what we've gained. And that's why people who are in their 30s or 40s often struggle with the fear of success more than those in their 20s. The bottom line is that change is essential for growth. We can't grow if we always do the same thing over and over again. But many people are afraid to change because they think it's risky. In reality, it's our fear that makes it seem that way. These fears are irrational, but they can cause a lot of distress. So if you're struggling with accepting a change in your life, don't worry. Just follow these steps. First, accept your fears. Don't try to deny them or ignore them. Instead, acknowledge them and think about why you're feeling this way. Second, learn to embrace change. Understand that change is necessary for growth and that it can be a good thing. Third, focus on the positive aspects of change. Think about all the good things that will come from this change and be grateful for them. Finally, be patient with yourself. It takes time to adjust to change. So don't be hard on yourself if you don't feel ready right away. With time, you'll learn to love the change.